I've been walking 6 miles a day for over 7 years now. And in today's video, I'm going to answer all the frequently asked questions I get about this. The most common question I get is, how long does it actually take you to walk 6 miles? And the answer is, I don't time myself, but it takes me a little over 2 hours. And I highly recommend not timing yourself on a regular basis, and instead just enjoying the walk. Do you do one big long walk, or do you break it up into small little walks? I've done it all different ways. Sometimes I will go out there and do one big walk, and that gets me my whole 6 miles. But I prefer really to break it up, usually into maybe 2 or 3 walks. Although I've done it different ways. In the very beginning, a lot of times I was just getting 1,000 steps at a time. How many steps is 6 miles? According to Fitbit, and based on my stride length, it is 14,000 steps for me. Which one do you think was more important in your 80-pound weight loss? Was it the walking 6 miles a day, or was it the intermittent fasting? The real answer is, I don't know for sure. What I do know is this: my walking 6 miles a day gave me discipline, and it kept me from stress eating, and it kept me consistent with my intermittent fasting. But I really think that it was the intermittent fasting that really brought the weight off my body, because really, you can't outrun your fork. Do you count incidental steps that you get throughout the day, like when you're cleaning house or just doing chores? And the answer to that is absolutely. Every single step that I take counts towards my daily step goal. What pace do you walk at? This is not something I measure on a consistent basis, but it's about 3 miles per hour. Why don't you walk faster than that? I found it was really important for maximum compliance that I just enjoy whatever exercise I choose to do. So with walking, I really enjoy like a 3 mile per hour walk. I really like getting out there and doing that. But if I try to get out there and walk really fast, I don't enjoy it at all. I feel like it takes all the relaxation out of it. And so I find myself dreading it. So I just don't try to set pace goals or anything like that. How many calories are you burning? Based on my height and weight and looking at a lot of different calculators, it's somewhere between 400 and 500 calories. Although that can vary based on the terrain and my actual current weight that day and the pace that I end up walking. Couldn't you burn more calories if you would just walk faster? I would, but again, I'm not doing this for the calorie burn. I'm doing it so that I stay active every day. And what I've found through experience is the harder I work out, the more my appetite increases. So any kind of calories that I burn, probably I just end up consuming them at my next meal. Do you ever substitute in other exercises for your step goal? Back in 2016, I was real stickler about this. Nothing ever got to be substituted for my step goal. But as time has passed, I will give myself a break on those days. Like if I'm outside and I'm doing like really hard work, and I'm getting a lot of physical labor in, and let's say it's like 2 hours of physical labor that's really going to make me tired and feel like I've done a lot, then I'll say that I don't have to get my steps in that day. Although sometimes I still do. Do you walk every single day? Again, in 2016, I walked every single day. I never gave myself a break at all. But over time, I experimented with that to see what would be best and most sustainable for me over the long term. And so I started taking a day off every week a few years ago, and I've really enjoyed that. So it's 6 miles a day, 6 days a week. And I would say I'm very consistent with that. What tracker do you use? So I started out with Fitbits. I had a Fitbit Flex and I had a Fitbit Alta. But these days I am using a Zaruru, which is just a thing I found on Amazon. It was cheaper. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles that a Fitbit has. But at this point, I just need something to tell me how many steps I get in, and it works for what I need it to do. What do you do when it's raining? If the weather makes it difficult to walk outside, then I just walk inside my house. And in fact, house walking was my preferred way to get my steps in when I was obese. I just felt more comfortable inside. How big was that house that you house walked in at first? That particular house was 1,470 square feet. But since then, I have lived in several other places, and I even lived in a Class C RV for 2 years while we were traveling. And I still got my 6 miles in there when the weather was bad, and that RV was less than 300 square feet. Where there's a will, there's a way. What do you do when you're sick? The reason I walk is so that I take better care of myself. So if I'm so sick that I really feel like it would be detrimental for me to go outside and walk, then I let myself, just rest and recuperate. But what I have generally found is on those days where I'm just, kind of sick, like I'm just, I'm not feeling the best, I usually feel a lot better if I just go out and get my miles in. Why 6 miles? Why not 5 or why not 7? This was completely arbitrary. I read an article that said if you want to lose weight and keep it off, move 3 miles a day. And I thought, well, I have a hard time losing weight, so I should make it 6, and 6 stuck. And I've just always thought that it's a nice thing to do. Like 6 miles, it feels like an accomplishment. No matter how bad my day has been, if I get my steps in, it's been a good day. I've accomplished something. How do you motivate yourself when you just don't feel like it? I find just bribing myself works. So there are some days where I really don't feel like going out and getting my steps in, but I know, that if I just go out there and do it, or if I just get them in inside, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to feel good. So I just make bargains with myself. I'll say, okay, like if I allow myself to, take a nap afterwards, would that get me to walk? And sometimes that's the thing that'll do it. And other times it's, saying, okay, I'm going to watch a movie while I walk back and forth, because I don't often, allow myself to just watch movies in the middle of the day. And sometimes I have to go even smaller than that. It has to be like, okay, get 1,000 steps in and then you get this reward, maybe like 1,000 steps and then you get a 30-minute coffee break. I have to keep lowering the bar until I figure out something that will motivate me to do it. Isn't it boring to walk 6 miles? In the beginning, I really did think it was boring. I didn't really particularly enjoy walking. It was just what I could do. I was injured at the time, and so that was the only thing that didn't really hurt. But I found there were ways to make it enjoyable. Things like just, allowing myself to watch movies or listen to good music, or, listen to podcasts. I also pray. I use the time to outline these videos to figure out plot lines for the books that I write. There's a lot of things I can do at the same time that I'm walking. These days, it really doesn't ever feel boring. And the last question, how do you recommend somebody start walking 6 miles a day? I would say if you are in relatively good condition, obviously, yes, you could just go out there and walk 6 miles. A lot of people can just do that. They don't really need extra training. However, it's really more of a mental thing in the beginning. And, if you just go out there and walk 6 miles, it's probably going to feel really, really boring, and you may not like it very much. On the other hand, you might not be in good enough physical condition to start out with 6 miles. And so I think it's a good idea to just go at it gradually. Just whatever you can do, just start with where you are and then build on that. Work on consistency first and then work on increasing the length. So I hope that this video was helpful. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed that video. I want to thank all the insiders that are members of this channel. Insiders get access to my vlog where I talk about things I'm eating and the experiments I'm trying, and they get access to member-only chats. If you'd like to become an insider, be sure to hit the join button below. Thanks.